One day, when Lena visited Sraining and brought some chocolate brownies, Chan, who was sitting in the living room, called her over for a chat. Somehow, the casual conversation led to Lena unexpectedly ending up on Chan's lap. Lena was startled when she noticed Sraining watching from the kitchen, but to her surprise, Sraining gave her a subtle nod and a knowing smile, signaling her approval. Sraining later explained that she believed her son-in-law, Chan, needed some cheerful distraction while his wife was out of town. She didn't mind if she and her friends helped provide the support and comfort Chan lacked during this time. Over the next few days, it became a routine of sorts. Sraining, Lena, and Saran took infidelity to the paralyzed man, ensuring he wasn't left feeling neglected. Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into another gripping and shocking real-life event from around the world. This time, the story takes us to the city of Siem Reap, Cambodia. It's a tale of household conflict that you won't want to miss. So, what's the full story behind this drama? Let's dig deeper and uncover all the details. Stay tuned. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this story with your friends. Now, let's get into it. This story begins in Siem Reap City, Cambodia, where a young woman named Chinda lived. Born in 1987, Chinda was the daughter of Mr. Firam and a graduate of one of the top universities in Siem Reap. Known for her academic brilliance, Chinda was the pride of her father. She once had a brother, but tragically, he passed away from a severe illness, leaving Chinda as the only child. Her father, a widower who valued education above all, poured his love and focus into raising her. In 2013, Mr. Firam remarried a woman named Sraining. Sraining was well-liked in social circles, a master of household management, and skilled at cooking meals that kept the family happy and at home. However, just a year later, in 2014, Mr. Firam passed away from kidney disease. His death left Chinda alone with her stepmother and a significant inheritance. Chinda had been in a committed relationship for 3 years with Chan, a man she met during her university days. 3 years her senior, Chan was hardworking and dedicated, traits that had won Chinda's heart. Orphaned as a child due to a tragic accident, Chan grew up under his uncle's care. Despite his challenges, he became a successful hardware developer for a local tech company. The couple was deeply in love and had planned to marry in early 2015, fulfilling a dream Chinda had long shared with her father before his passing. But tragedy struck in March 2015. On his way to a client meeting out of town, Chan was involved in a severe car accident. While 2 of his colleagues lost their lives at the scene, Chan survived but sustained injuries that left his leg impaired. He required extensive hospital care, and their wedding, initially planned for April, had to be postponed. Invitations had already been sent, adding another layer of heartbreak for the couple. Chinda's stepmother, Sraining, suggested that they go ahead with the wedding despite Chan's physical condition, reasoning that his recovery could continue afterward. She believed there was no reason to delay happiness just because of the challenges they faced. After much back-and-forth discussion, the couple decided to have a simple wedding in October 2015. Chinda was 28 and Chan was 31. Despite his physical difficulties, they exchanged vows, solidifying their commitment before Chinda had to leave for a 2-month work assignment in Battambang. Meanwhile, Chan's recovery journey was a long and difficult one. 2 months after their wedding, Chinda found herself torn. She had an important work assignment in Battambang, but she hesitated to leave her husband behind. Chan was in the middle of an intense treatment regimen and struggling emotionally. He was overwhelmed with grief, crying nearly every day over his inability to walk, work, and fulfill his role as a husband. All he wanted was a normal life, to lead their household and support Chinda as a partner. But their situation forced them to confront some harsh realities. At the same time, Chinda's career was on the line. Her company needed her in Battambang, and turning down the assignment could damage her reputation and even lead to her dismissal. This was a critical moment for her professional integrity, especially since Chan was out of work and their financial stability depended on her. After many emotional discussions and sleepless nights, they agreed she would go. Chan would stay under the care of his mother-in-law, Sraining, for 2 months. They hoped that by the time Chinda returned, Chan's condition would show some improvement, especially in his ability to walk. Chinda left for Battambang on December 7, 2015, while Chan continued his therapy back home. With Sraining by his side, they visited multiple doctors, tried different hospitals, and even sought help from a traditional massage therapist specializing in mobility issues. Despite her unwavering support, Sraining often caught Chan crying in his room or yelling out in frustration. His attempts to practice walking around the house were fraught with failure. He fell on more than one occasion, injuring himself or causing a mess. His anger boiled over at times, leading him to break dishes or lash out verbally. Once, he slipped in the bathroom while trying to clean himself, a moment that shattered his confidence further. On many phone calls, Chan begged Chinda to come back home, saying he felt lonely and hopeless. But every time she offered to return immediately, Chan would insist she stay and fulfill her professional duties. Deep down, he knew her career was their only financial lifeline. Despite his emotional struggles, Chan put his wife's job first, understanding the bigger picture. In mid-January, sensing her son-in-law's despair, Sraining decided to try something unconventional. She took Chan to a karaoke lounge with some of her friends from her social group. "Who says you can't have fun just because you're in a wheelchair?" she joked, trying to lift his spirits. The outing was her way of helping Chan escape his sadness for a while. She introduced him to her friends Saren and Lena, who had suggested the idea in the first place. Over music, laughter, and a little bit of alcohol, Sraining encouraged Chan to let go of his frustrations, if only for a moment. "You can't spend every day feeling sorry for yourself," she told him. "The doctors are doing their best, but healing takes time. While you wait for Chinda to come home, it's okay to laugh, sing, and enjoy life a little." In the days that followed, Chan found himself growing more attached to Saren and Lena. "Invite them over again, they're great company," he told his mother-in-law, Sraining. The 3 women had been close friends for over a decade, bonding over their shared love for karaoke long before Sraining married Chinda's father. Saren, a widow in her late 50s with 5 grandchildren, enjoyed her freedom and often did as she pleased without input from her children. Lena, in her early 40s, worked for a shipping company and only returned home once a year. With her grown kids and a household assistant to handle chores, she had plenty of time for herself. Their company brightened Chan's otherwise lonely days. He enjoyed their lively conversations and even began to laugh more often. Sraining, eager to keep her son-in-law's spirits up, bought him the latest PlayStation to keep him entertained. The distraction worked wonders, giving Chan a much-needed escape from his dark thoughts. He spent hours gaming, chatting, and joking around with the 2 women. When he was exhausted, he'd simply head to bed, leaving little time to dwell on his circumstances. Interestingly, Saren and Lena noticed that Chan often became emotional when speaking to his wife over the phone. He would tear up, complain about feeling lonely, and repeatedly ask when she was coming home. To prevent these emotional outbursts, the 3 women began intercepting his calls, urging him to focus on the present and avoid unnecessary stress. Then came February 9, 2016, a day that marked an unexpected turn in their unusual household dynamic. While assisting Chan with undressing before his shower, Sraining was taken aback when Chan suddenly pulled her close and kissed her. The unexpected move left her momentarily stunned, but to her own surprise, she didn't resist. Perhaps it was the loneliness or the human need for connection that caused her to allow the moment to unfold. That evening, their bond deepened in a way neither had anticipated. Just 2 days later, Saren stopped by for a casual visit. As they sat chatting in the living room, Chan surprised her too. He grabbed her hand, kissed her arm, and pulled her into an embrace before she could react. They ended up tangled on the sofa, their actions unfolding while the television played in the background. Sraining happened to witness the scene from a distance but chose to remain silent. Instead, she smiled faintly, rationalizing that her son-in-law simply needed a release. She told herself that with his wife away, Chan's pent-up frustration and loneliness were natural. Better he lets it out here than falls into despair, she thought, justifying the unfolding events as necessary distractions for the man she had grown to care for deeply. And so, the dynamic within the household took a path no one could have foreseen. One afternoon, Lena stopped by Sraniang's house, carrying a tray of freshly baked chocolate brownies. Chan, who was lounging in the living room, called her over to chat. Somehow, their conversation turned playful, and before she knew it, Lena found herself sitting on Chan's lap. She froze in surprise when she noticed Sraniang watching them from the kitchen. But instead of looking upset, Sraniang gave Lena a knowing smile and gestured for her to continue. It was as if she had silently approved, believing her son-in-law needed some cheering up. Sraniang had convinced herself that with Chinda away for so long, it wasn't a problem if she and her two friends helped fill the gap. She rationalized that it was better for them to handle Chan's needs than for him to seek it elsewhere, which could bring about risks and drama. Over the next few days, Sraniang, Lena, and Saren began taking turns entertaining Chan, treating it as an unspoken arrangement. Surprisingly, the three women didn't seem to mind. They even joked among themselves about it. Things took a sharp turn on the morning of Wednesday, February 17th, when Chinda called her husband. What started as a casual conversation quickly escalated into a heated argument. Chan lashed out, accusing his wife of neglecting him, especially since her calls had been inconsistent. The discussion then shifted to her work assignment in Battambang, which she revealed had been extended from 2 months to 6. This enraged Chan even more. He shouted at Chinda, telling her not to bother coming home at all, and in a fit of anger, blurted out that he had been intimate with her mother. Chinda was shocked beyond belief. Tears filled her eyes as she listened to her husband's admission. She had been working tirelessly to support their family, only to find out that her husband was betraying her with her stepmother. Their phone call ended in a massive fight, but despite her heartbreak, Chinda decided to stay in Battambang to finish her work. She had no choice but to see the project through. By May 2016, Chinda still had months left before her return. In the meantime, one of Chinda's neighbors, POV, decided to check in on Chan after hearing about his condition. POV mentioned that Chinda had asked her to stop by and see how things were going. However, this visit did not go well. Chan flew into a rage, questioning why Chinda would send someone else instead of coming home herself. To him, it felt intrusive and unnecessary to involve a neighbor in their private matters. Sraniang, equally annoyed by POV's presence, grabbed a broom and started yelling at her to leave. "This is our business, not yours," she screamed. POV, frightened by the outburst, quickly fled the house. Both Chan and Sraniang made it clear they didn't want anyone meddling in their situation, especially not someone sent by Chinda. On February 25, 2016, Chan and Mrs. Sraniang were stunned when they received a call from the police. They were urgently asked to come to Siem Reap City General Hospital to identify a body that had been brought to the morgue. Shocked and confused, they arrived at the hospital with Sraniang's friends, Saren and Lena. What awaited them was a devastating revelation. The lifeless body in the morgue was Chinda, Chan's wife. According to investigators, 29-year-old Chinda had been involved in a heated argument with her lover at the Transit Inn, located on the outskirts of Siem Reap. The confrontation had turned violent, leading to her death when the man, identified as Vaisal, snapped her neck. Vaisal, a 44-year-old security officer at Chinda's workplace, was taken into custody by the authorities. This shocking incident left the family reeling, especially Chan. He had been racked with guilt over his affair with his mother-in-law and her two friends, and now he learned that his wife had been keeping secrets of her own. The truth unraveled, and it turned out Chinda had been living a double life for over a year. The story of her work assignment in Battambang? A complete fabrication. Chinda had never left Siem Reap. Instead, she rented a small house in the city to secretly continue her affair with Vaisal. She had orchestrated an elaborate ruse, even going as far as to send fake photos of Battambang that she had taken from Instagram. She continued to work at her job during the day while pretending to be away on assignment, fooling both her husband and her stepmother. It was revealed that Chinda's relationship with Vaisal had been ongoing, despite the fact that he was already married with 4 children. He had repeatedly promised Chinda that he would divorce his wife and start a new life with her, but those promises never materialized. Despite this, Chinda stayed with him, even as she remained legally married to Chan. The most heartbreaking detail was Chinda's true feelings about her marriage to Chan. She reportedly resented having to care for her paralyzed husband and saw their relationship as a burden. The ruse of the Batambang assignment gave her an escape, allowing her to avoid the responsibilities of being a wife while indulging in her affair with Vaisal. The family's heartbreak deepened as they pieced together the timeline. Chinda had even enlisted her neighbor, POV, to check on Chan, claiming she was too far away to do so herself. POV had unwittingly been used as part of Chinda's cover story, believing the lie that Chinda was in Batambang when, in fact, she was just across town. The tragedy of Chinda's death brought to light the tangled web of deception and betrayal within the family. Chan, consumed with guilt over his own actions, now had to grapple with the reality that his wife had been living a lie. According to Srey, the lawyer representing Vaisal, the affair came to light when Vaisal's wife and sister-in-law discovered it. They threatened to report him to the authorities, prompting Vaisal to consider ending the relationship. The secret house he had rented for meetings with Chinda was exposed, forcing the couple to switch to meeting in discreet transit lodges. On the night of the tragic incident, a heated argument broke out between Chinda and Vaisal when she revealed that she was pregnant, claiming the baby was his. Vaisal, however, denied the child was his, accusing her of potentially carrying Chan's child instead. Chinda adamantly insisted that the baby was Vaisal's and demanded he marry her, promising to leave Chan if Vaisal would commit. But Vaisal, fearing the wrath of his wife and protective brother-in-law, who happened to be a strict and feared soldier, refused to comply. The argument escalated when Chinda threatened to expose their affair to Vaisal's family, which would destroy his reputation and marriage. Feeling cornered, Vaisal panicked and attacked her, strangling her during the confrontation. Tragically, this act ended Chinda's life. While Vaisal faced the legal consequences of his actions, Chan was left grappling with the shocking revelations about his wife. Adding to his embarrassment, his neighbor POV testified in court about his inappropriate relationships with his mother-in-law Srey and her friends Lena and Saren. Chan expressed deep regret, admitting that he had made terrible mistakes during a vulnerable period in his life. He apologized for his actions and accepted the painful reality of his wife's betrayal, vowing to turn his life around. Srey, Lena, and Saren also admitted their mistakes in court, expressing remorse and pledging to change their ways. They acknowledged the consequences of their actions and asked for leniency. In September 2016, the Siem Reap City High Court sentenced Vaisal to life imprisonment for intentionally taking Chinda's life and for his role in the scandalous affair. His wife subsequently divorced him, and he was barred from having any contact with his children. Meanwhile, Srey, Lena, and Saren were found guilty of misconduct and sentenced to 2 months in prison each. Chan was also given the same sentence but, due to his paralysis, was instead sent to a rehabilitation facility for individuals with disabilities. There, he not only received care but also began working as part of the management team, finding a sense of purpose and starting a new chapter in his life after enduring such a tumultuous period. What lessons can we learn from this story?